So thanks everyone for coming to join me today. We're going to talk a little bit about small groups with Seesaw, but we're going to focus on virtual mini lessons and how you can share those with students. I am happy that you guys, gave me a reason to actually make myself look somewhat presentable. The struggle of why do I need to get out of PJs? But I'm happy that you guys are taking time out of your day to come learn with me. And hopefully you'll find what we talk about today to be beneficial to you. I'm going to do my best to make this as close to the same as what I did on Tuesday. I even went back and watched the video so I could try to make sure I did it in kind of the same order. But I will, I'll do my best. So a couple of things. Y'all have done a great job with, really doing what you need to help your students in this time. Like, we know that it's craziness. But the thing I just want to say to you is progress over perfection. Like, nobody's expecting things right now to be perfect. So just remember that. Just think about progress and just try to work your best through it. I think I had one more person come in. Oops, Kim, I didn't mean to just send that to you. I don't know why I did that. I'm sending the sign-in form again. And I will send the slide deck and the recording of this at the end. Probably like later once I get the actual recording from Zoom. So you will be getting that later. Okay, so to get started. So what resources, whenever you were in your normal classroom, did you use to create mini lessons? So what did you pull? Like, what were some of the different things that you used? If you can put your answer in the chat, or if you want to say it out loud, you can unmute yourself. Just what were some things that you used to make mini lessons for your students? All right, so Deanna Jump, interactive read aloud, map data, leveled readers, reading strategies by Saravallo. There's really no wrong answer. F&P data, conferring notes, reading A to Z, writing workshop, magnetic letters, interactive read aloud, anchor charts, dry erase boards. You guys have a good list of things. So all of those resources, especially the ones, well, the dry erase board, we can talk about like the virtual part of doing that, but all of the different things you used, whether it was the data or whether it was a specific resource for your mini lessons, like keep using those. And what we're going to talk about today is how you can turn them into like a virtual mini lesson. And in the example I'm going to show you in a second, I use the Continuum, I use the Reading Strategies book, but you can use the other resources that you're used to. The more that you can use some of the same resources that your students are already used to, they'll be used to the way that you kind of have been delivering mini lessons. They'll just be getting it in a different way. So keep using those resources, and I'll just share with you how you can actually get them to students on Seesaw. So now I'm going to show you an example in my screen sharing. I have to stop it for a second because I have to pull it up. Here we go. I had it pulled up. I don't know how I lost it. All right, so this is an example that I created, and it is nowhere near perfect, but I wanted to give you just an idea of what this could look like, and then how we'll go through the process of what all I did too. So
Today we're going to talk about how's the character feeling in books that you read. So readers, they pay attention to the characters in their story, and whenever they do that, they notice how they act, how they speak.
And we're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch enough to kind of get a gist of it. What I did on this page was a lesson straight from the Reading Strategies book. And then I got into an actual text.
The book we are reading today is called The Sad, Sad Monster by Dolores Costello. And remember, let's talk about what does this tell me so far about what the character feels. So right now is the sad, sad monster. And if we see here, this monster is frowning. So right now, this is telling me that the character.
Okay, we're not, like I said, we're not going to listen to me go through all of that. But basically, I go through the whole book. And as you can see, as I'm doing my recording, I'm underlining in the text. I'm pointing out different things from the illustrations. I'm referring back to those questions that I talked about at the beginning. I'm doing the same type of mini lesson, the same type of model that I was used to doing in a classroom. And something also to consider is it's important to keep your mini lessons mini. So like this was right at 5 minutes. You want to try to keep it at 5 minutes or under, especially in this type of setting. So then at the end, I pulled back up a screenshot of that same anchor chart, and then I gave them with what they needed to do based on the skill that I just modeled with them. So that is just that example, just to get you at least thinking to start out with. All right, let me share my other screen now. All right. Every time I switch from one screen to another, like my chat box and stuff goes away, and I'm trying really hard to keep track of it in case anybody has questions. So now a digital mini lesson, I found this and I thought that it was just a good way to think about it because there are, you know, obviously some differences, especially the way that you end up sharing it with them. But this structure has, so you greet, like you connect with your students, and then you teach and show. So you provide instruction and a model, and it could be with like an anchor chart. And then you have your children go do, and so they go and try, and then they have the keep thinking. So it's more like a pushing it past just their doing. It's kind of like the closure part of it. And it even says to turn and talk to someone in your family about it. So I liked the structure that it had here. And over to the right, it talks about the difference between if you do it synchronous. So if you do a mini lesson all at the same time, like via Zoom, or if you do it asynchronous where you record it ahead of time and then they have it to go back to and refer to. So not that there are pros and cons to both of those. And I just liked how it compared the two. But today we're going to talk about that asynchronous part, and we're going to focus on that teach and show because we're going to focus on the actual teaching and model that you would provide for students. So a big thing that, and a big tip would be to record your screen. And I'm going to go through and actually show you all of these things. But there are a couple of ways you can do screen recording. One way is you can do it with QuickTime on your MacBook. If you want to actually write on something, that's not the best tool to use because it's very hard to write with your trackpad. But then you can also do iPad screen recording, and that's one that I'm going to talk about today. And the iPad screen recording, I mix with the drawing pages in Seesaw. But if you didn't want to use the drawing pages in Seesaw, you could use a whiteboard app like there's Whiteboard or Show Me or Edu Creations. And you can just record yourself going through anything. And a lot of what you tend to use, you're going to want to take screenshots. So if you're on your MacBook, Command-Shift-4 is how you take a screenshot of a certain part of a page. And then on your iPad, the lock button and the home button together will take a screenshot there. I do have on here step-by-step directions for QuickTime screen recording, just to refresh your memory later. And iPad screen recording, I have that on here as well. So now before, let me see. All right, so I'm gonna, before we talk about sharing the actual mini lesson, I'm going to switch over to my iPad. So I can show you the way that I recorded my screen on here. And then we'll talk about, once you get it recorded, how you can get it to Seesaw for your students. So let me stop my share. Do a different one. Okay. All right. So this is my iPad, and what I would suggest to do first is I like to do to set up my screen recording within Seesaw first, especially since that's what I would encourage my students to go to create things themselves. So them seeing me create stuff within that platform, I think, is helpful for them. I'm in Seesaw right now as a teacher on the app on my iPad. And to add something, even though right now I'm not technically going to add what I'm doing, I'm just going to do the setup part. I press the green plus to add, and then I'm just going to press post student work. Now, this is not the only way that you can do this, and I'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons of the different opportunities that you have to do this, but I like to press the plus, post student work, and then drawing, because that's the way that you can make it look like a book, and you can just use all of the different drawing tools, the creative tools that Seesaw has. So for those of you that aren't as familiar with this drawing screen, on the left, the T is for text, so you can type some different things in there. There's a microphone, so you can record yourself within it. There's also the picture, so you can take a picture or you can upload a picture. And then there's also different shapes and backgrounds that you can add. On the bottom are the different pen tips that you can choose from and an eraser. On the right-hand side, there is the different colors that you can choose from. And then where it has the one up at the top, that's the first page. But down at the bottom right corner, you can also add pages to it. So the way that I did the example that I showed you is on my first page, I went ahead and wrote out my anchor chart. Or you could put whatever you would normally put as a visual to help students understand what you were teaching. I would start out with that. And you can pre-write some of it. And if you wanted to pre-write and then add some other parts in as you were talking, or underline as you talked about different things, you can do that whenever you're actually doing the recording. So I would start by putting the anchor chart. And then for 2, I would start to put the actual book that I was going to use in my mini lesson. You're going to want to already have the screenshots saved. So it will press the camera and then upload. And I already have the book that I used earlier in here. So I'm going to click on that and you press the check. And then you can make it bigger. And then you would go through and do the same thing for the other pages. So I'm on 3, I press the camera and upload. And then I would find the next page. I'm just gonna put one on there so you can see it just for this example. And then I'll do one more page. All right. And then just like a normal mini lesson, I like to put at the end, you know, some type of closure or wrap up, and then also what the kids need to do next. It doesn't necessarily have to be within this screen recording, but you want them to take what they learned and actually do something with it to see if they learned something or not. So once you have this template set up, then you're going to do the actual screen recording. Now, like I said, when I was going through all of these tools, there is a microphone so you can record yourself on each page. But I will just say that recently Seesaw has had a little bit of issues with if you record yourself too much on here and then try to add it to the journal, sometimes it just takes a couple of tries for you to get it through. And whenever, if you have some kids that do not have internet, if you do an actual screen recording, it can save to the camera roll. So then you can actually share it for offline access if you need to. But the offline access part is for a whole nother session. But that's just some of the reasons why I've gone with the actual screen recording to get my mini lesson started. Does anybody have, before I go to the screen recording part, does anybody have any questions about anything? So the question that's in the chat right now is, can you self-correct when recording in Seesaw? You can. So what an option is, if you record in Seesaw, you can press the record. I'll show you what it looks like. Record your voice while creating. So this is the closure of my mini lesson. And then I press pause and done. So then I can re-record myself. If you wanted to go ahead and go through all of that and then just do a big screen recording at the end, you could. There are lots of ways you can do it. I've just kind of found the screen recording I just liked the best. And in my example, I actually did do the Seesaw recording, and then I just pressed play throughout my screen recording. Any other questions before I go to how to do the screen recording once you have the template set up? Yeah, and so clips you can do, there are lots of ways that you can show your mini lesson, and it's an option. I just like to have it within this template just for them to be able to see it. Tammy, if you can bring up that at the very end, and we'll talk about some of the options with that. Okay, anything else so far? So to recap, what I've done so far is I went into my teacher app, I pressed the green plus, and then I started to make my template with my anchor chart, the pages, the screenshots of the text, and the closing. So I'm ready now to record myself. So to record yourself, if you've never actually done screen recording on your iPad, you have to do this one-time setup to make it so it will show up where you want it to. And these step-by-step directions are in the slides presentation that you will get later. So you go to settings, and then the control center is what pulls up whenever you swipe down from the top right corner of your device. And so you go to control center, customize controls, and these are the different things that will show up whenever you do swipe down. So what you need to make sure is added up at the top is screen recording, which mine is already there, but you have to add it so it will show up when you need it. So I have my screen recording there, and then I'll have my Seesaw open like this, and then I'll swipe down. Let me see if it's gonna show up for you guys. So if I swipe down from the, there we go. It wanted to lag for a second. If I swipe down from the top right corner, that brings down my control center. And you'll see at the bottom left, it looks like a record button. Since I'm screen mirroring right now, it won't let me actually do it in real time. But if I hold that down, I need to make sure that my microphone is turned on so I can actually hear myself. And then it will count down from 3, 2, 1, and then it will just record my screen. I can also, whenever I'm finished, so I would screen record myself going through all of this. And whenever I'm done, I would just press that same button again. And whenever I'm done with my screen recording, then it just saves it to my camera roll. And it does it in real time. So all of the different things that I write, it does it along with what I've done. Any questions about screen recording? Okay, I think we're all good. All right, so I'm gonna change from my iPad back to my computer and share my screen. That's the wrong screen. Okay, so what I just went through with you was this iPad screen recording. And before I did that, I had my template that I wanted to record set up. So now some of the ways you can share mini lessons on Seesaw. So there are, like I said earlier, there are a couple of different ways, and there are pros and cons to the different ones. So you can post a mini lesson video just to a student journal. You can just have the file in your Google Drive and you could share it that way. You can also add multimedia instructions or an example to the activity for them to look at along with it. And maybe the more Seesaw gets used to extra people being on there, it might not have as much of an issue, but sometimes the uploads, especially if your video is a little bit longer, sometimes it takes a while and it will keep like timing out and you have to just kind of retry it. But I recently discovered a way that if you publish slides, that it will continue to update with mini lessons. And I found that that's the most reliable. And the best way I found to do that is to upload the video to YouTube. So you upload the video to YouTube, you end up putting the video into a slide deck, and then you only have to share that slide deck one time and you can continue to upload it. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about because I know that that's a lot to kind of say in a short little period. But I found that this would be the best way so you don't have to post like 17 different things to student journals, posting new mini lessons for each thing each day. And you can share different slides to different people. So let me show you the way that I'm talking about this publishing slides. So once I have my video screen recorded on my iPad, I just tend to airdrop it to myself. You can technically upload it to YouTube on your iPad, but I'm going to show you the way that you upload it on your computer. So you go to YouTube. You can see that my daughter watches YouTube. And up here where it has the little video camera thing and it says create a video, you're going to select that and you're going to upload a video. And you already have the video ready because you just did it. So I'm going to select the file. Mine is in my downloads and it's this one. So I press open. So this makes people nervous, but the way that we are going to make this work, oh no. It said my internet connection was unstable. So hopefully I'm going to stop it uploading in a second. So you're going to press yes, it's made for kids. You're going to press next. You don't have to do anything on this page. And then the thing, so only your kids that you share the video link with will be able to search for it and see it. So you don't have to worry about people like going to your YouTube page and seeing all of your things. If you want to, you can keep it as public, but I change it to unlisted. So that way, just if they have the link, then they can see your video. And then I press save. Now I am going to cancel this upload just because, like I said, my internet is on the struggle bus. So I feel like that helps a little bit with that. Now I have a couple of different ones. So I have the characters mini lesson and I have another read aloud that I did. But I'll click on this characters mini lesson. Oops, let me go back, I'm sorry. So the characters mini lesson is here. And if I click on the options, then I can get the shareable link. Okay, so I'm in YouTube, I have it uploaded. I get the shareable link for it because it's unlisted. Then I'm going to Google Slides and I'll delete this since I have it on there. And so this is just a normal Google Slides slide deck. It's literally just a blank slide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert that YouTube video into the slide deck. So I press insert video and I paste the link that I got from YouTube. I select it. And then I put it on there. Now, if I wanted to, so it was the mini lesson I wanted them to do for day 1. On the next slide, I could put, after doing that, I want you to go to complete this activity. But I wanted to also include some other things, so that way they don't have to go keep finding different mini lessons. I can include it all in one place. So this is another YouTube video I have here. I did a read aloud actually on clips. In my clips video, I uploaded to YouTube unlisted the way that I shared a second ago. And I go to options, I get the shareable link. I come back to my slides. I insert video. I paste the link. I select it. So then here's our next video. And this is just a read aloud of Guess How Much I Love You. The sweet book. And then this is just, I got a read aloud from Storyline Online that has a bunch of free read alouds on it. And I just included this one there for an example so I have right now in this, I have 3 mini lessons ready to go. Any questions so far? We're all good? Okay, so I have the mini lessons in here that I want to share. And I go to File, and I'm going to publish it to the web. So I'm going to stop publishing just so that way I can show you exactly. So when I press Publish to the web, I don't even mess with any of this. I just press Publish, press OK. And this is the link that I'm going to need. So I'm going to copy the link. So when I'm ready to share it with my children, I go to File, Publish to the web, Publish, and I get the link. So now I'm ready to go to Seesaw to share it with my children. All right, so here's my resources class. And so to share it with my children, I have the publish link. And so as a teacher, I'm going to press add, and I'm going to post student work. And since the publish link is a link, I'm going to go to publish a link. And I'm going to paste my link in here. And then I have my green check. Now it's going to try to do this Google Drive integration in which some other purposes It's okay. But for this, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to just press continue. So you're just sharing a link. You can do it. There we go. So this one I've titled it as Mini Lessons Orange because that's my orange group. But you could put whatever you wanted to put on it. If you wanted to put a caption of orange ELA mini lessons, you could put that there if you wanted to. Press the check. I'm going to press the check again. Now this is the part that is key. So sometimes I know you might do like a whole group mini lesson, but a lot of the different little lessons you do with children are more for small groups. So that's why I said this is like my orange group one. So what I can do is I can select, I want my orange group is student 1 and student 3. You have actual student names. I just have my fake class. So student 1 and student 3 are my orange group, and I'm going to press check. Now I can, you can use folders if you wanted to organize them in that way. So I have an orange ELA mini lessons folder, and I can press the check. Okay, so I have this on here. So I just put the publish link in there for my students. So I'm going to stop sharing my MacBook screen, and I'm going to share my iPad screen so you can see what it looks like for kids. And the first time that I realized this was a thing, I thought this is a game changer. All right, so let me show you. Gotta get it to come up. Okay, so I'll refresh my page too. So I'm still in as a teacher, but you can still get the gist of what it looks like for students from having the iPad view of it. So you can see that it's only shared with the people in that group. And so I'm going to click on it. Okay, and then I'm going to press play. It's just going to take it a second. They did an update lately that makes it open up in a new thing.
Today we're going to talk about how.
Okay, you can see it plays. It's just taking it a second. But then I can go through the rest of the slides.
Guess How Much I Love You by Sam McBride.
Okay, and then here's the other one. Okay, now I'm going to keep it on this screen. So it's still on my iPad. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go into, so you guys saw that as of whenever I pressed publish, it had 4 slides. And it had those videos that I just shared with you. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna add some slides, and then I'm gonna insert a video, and I'm just gonna find like a random read aloud on YouTube, just for quick purposes for today. And I'm gonna put it on a new slide. And then on the next slide, I'm just gonna put a text box that says, wow. All right, so I did that on my computer. So now I haven't reshared anything with my students. I'm just gonna refresh this. So I'm gonna click on the same thing that I just shared. So I'm not gonna replay these. So slide 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, there's a new one. And then that can play.
Hello, Myri.
And look, there's my next slide that says, wow. So the awesome thing, as you can tell with that, is I only shared that slide deck link one time, but I was still able to update it with new mini lessons, new information, instead of students having to go and find, like, where's the mini lesson for today? Or let me find all of the different things. And it would be easier if they wanted to just rewatch a lot of that direct instruction, then they could. You can obviously add other things into it, but being able to keep it all in one place, I think, would help them not get as confused. So what Pamela just, or Joni, sorry, Joni just asked is, how do they know that you've added new info? So what I would suggest is, like, depending on how you've set up how you get information to students about what they're working on, I would daily probably post either an announcement or just a kind of like a to-do list to all of the students' journals, so they know what they need to do each day. So they would just know that that's where they would go for the mini lessons. So it doesn't necessarily give them like a notification, but I would just do that in the information that I share with what they need to do, like what their tasks are for the day. Okay, any questions about that right now before I move back to my other screen? It's so hard doing these because, and especially, like I said, if my internet were a little bit better, I would try to be a little bit more interactive. It's hard just kind of looking at a lot of nothing. It just, like I said, it makes it a little bit harder. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my slide deck. Here we go, share. Okay, so what I just shared with you was this last part that said how you can publish slides, you post the publish link, and then you can continue to update it with mini lessons. I'd probably have a separate one for different subjects, but really it's just the idea that you can expand on to make it work for your classroom. I've just found that that's been the most reliable because of like some of the different uploads timing out, and you don't have like a time restraint because in Seesaw, when you record different things, you only have the 5 minutes, and you can share multiple videos at a time. So, and to go through later is for the YouTube part about putting it unlisted. These have directions of how to upload a video and to change the privacy settings like I went through to unlisted. And then a couple of different digital tools for you that kind of go along with that. So digital text. This is not an all-inclusive list. It's just a few that I wanted to put here for you. So Epic is one that I think probably everyone is the most familiar with. And that's the book that I actually used on here, because then you can just take screenshots of it. There's also, if you haven't shared the at-home Epic emails to your parents, there is a way for them to be able to access it at home as well. Also, right now, if you don't have Reading A to Z and Raz Kids, they're offering it for free until the end of the year. But the way, it's one of the few places where you can actually download PDF texts for children. And so you can also print them if you wanted to, but for some of our offline students, that's a good option to share with them. Also right now, you can get Time for Kids library access and Ranger Rick magazines access. And if you haven't looked at Scholastic Learn at Home, they have some good different things in here. that like they have videos and texts and book flicks and some different activities and things. And you don't have to sign up for anything to actually get access to those resources. I'll have to look, Jessica asked about some of her students were having some Epic issues, and I don't know, I guess after this, we can talk more to see. I think there's something having to do with Epic and the time of day that sometimes I don't know if they can get on depending on like the hours. But I don't know, we can try to troubleshoot that in just a minute. Also, just some read aloud information. So there's Storyline Online, which has just a bunch of different read alouds that are available for you. This is also a link that I found that has a lot of different resources and read alouds and things on it. But the Guess How Much I Love You one that I shared, that one was actually one that I did with clips. So to go back, Tammy, to your question about clips, you can put your clips video on YouTube the same way. And then you can share it so everyone can do that. Okay, so any other questions? You can unmute your